We're ready? Great. All right. صباح ومساء الخير everyone. Good morning and good afternoon. أولاً عشان راح نحكي بالإنجليزي، إذا بدكم ترجمة بالعربي فوتوا على الشات واكبسوا على اللينك اللي موجودة. My name is Jennifer Atullah, and I am the founder of Inara Strategies LLC and a board member with Build Palestine. I am Palestinian American, a proud Ikrati, and after 1948 Haifawiye, currently living in North Carolina in the United States. I am honored to have been a part of the Build journey as an advisor since the beginning. Although our meetings in cafes and workspaces in Ramallah have now transitioned to entirely virtual connections like this amazing summit, the work of Build Palestine has only flourished thanks to the remarkable leadership of Ghassan, Lama, and the entire Build Palestine team and new board that has come together from across the world and collaborated in ways I really could not have imagined possible. I could not be prouder and more inspired than to be a part of this movement with you, and thank you, each of you, for being on this journey with us. Curating this panel was very important to me because over the last 20 years, I have worked on all sides of this issue. My work has ranged from Palestinian civil rights advocacy in Haifa in the US to impact investment improvement with the International Finance Corporation, to working as a microfinance and entrepreneurship ecosystem building specialist across the Middle East. I have also served in the US government as a Middle East international development and national security specialist and program manager. My own consulting practice in Inara Strategies was first launched in Haifa in 1948, in 2014, and is a global consultancy applying a systems level approach to design and implement projects and partnerships that catalyze economic growth and impact, and advise startup founders and impact investors in business strategy, market development, and tech innovation. From 2015 to 2017, I led the technical implementation of the USAID Compete Project's private sector development work in Palestine across 7 industries. Cognizant of the real and valid criticisms of USAID and other government-funded projects in Palestine, which we had some great discussions about yesterday, I wanted to be part of the solution. Both grassroots activism and participating in the processes and structures that are making decisions about our community are important, as also discussed in our panel yesterday with Ahmed Abu Zaid. One example of this is that I made sure to, on my own initiative, establish relationships and partnerships with all other donor-funded programs in this role to ensure that if entrepreneurs and companies coming to us weren't the right fit for our grant investment or capacity building services, that instead we could advise them where they could go otherwise to look for much needed capital support without losing their core mission. As Nora Lester pointed out yesterday, what we need more of is for our Palestinian brothers and sisters on the ground to be given the space to think critically outside of the confines of donor-driven priorities, timetables, and metrics, no matter how well-intentioned, accurate, or not they are, to solve problems with their own innovation and ingenuity. In our impact investing panel yesterday, we talked with veteran investor Naseem Noor about the value of investment to catalyze sustainable growth versus complete reliance on donor funds in order to more effectively drive and build an economy. And with him, Samar Ali and Hashim Shawa about the yet fully realized value of that the diaspora community can play to support this growth. All of this within the very real and difficult challenges imposed by continued occupation, physical separation, and internal policies that may or may not allow for optimal growth. This conversation we're having right now could not be more urgent. On May 31st, the Palestinian Central Bureau of Statistics released data that in the first quarter of this year, mostly pre-COVID-19, the unemployment rate in the Gaza Strip was 46%, which is over 200,000 people, compared with the 14% in the West Bank, which is over 100,000 people, while the unemployment rate for men was 21% overall, compared with 40% for women. These numbers do not even reflect the effect of reduced salaries on hundreds of public sector employees in both Gaza and the West Bank. On September 9th, PCBS shared data for quarter 2, indicating that those In those first months of COVID-19, these numbers declined even further by 17% in Gaza and 10% in the West Bank compared to Q1. I also could not imagine a better set of panelists to contribute to this important conversation. In this panel, I want us to go beyond listing the usual types of initiatives that we have seen play out over and over again in Palestine to create jobs and increase workforce capabilities. In this summit, we are called on to radically imagine what Palestine can be. And I want us to do that and to talk about real steps we can take to get there. We are going to hear from Dr. Muna Damedi about the role academia can play and should play to ensure that today and tomorrow's Palestinian youth are prepared to contribute to the local and global workforce. Dr. Muna is an assistant professor at AlNayzak University in Nablus, a board member of Arab Women in Computing, and co-managing director of Girls in Tech Inc. Palestine. We are also going to speak with engineer Aref Husseini and learn from his lived experience in industry and capacity building, what has worked, what has not, and what he believes we need to do to move forward in Palestine. Aref is the chairman of the Jerusalem Innovation Park and founder of AlNayzak. Internationally funded and led successful initiatives like Gaza Sky Geeks exist, building software development skills and supporting young entrepreneurs to build initiatives that don't require the physical mobility they do not have. But what other locally grown initiatives exist that we can continue to build? Finally, we will hear from another diaspora Palestinian who has moved back home, Mr. Nasser Al-Amuri, about the new projects that have finally hit the ground, changing the way industry can do business and the value of structured investment vehicles to drive innovation in order to create jobs, spur economic growth, and build an economy that is prosperous for all. Having watched many of these ideas from their earliest stages myself, I am excited that we can learn together today where they are in action. Nasser is a project finance and investment officer with the World Bank's Finance for Jobs initiative. As with each of the other panels, please do leave your questions in the chat box, beginning with the letter Q, so that we can easily find them. We will have dedicated time for Q&A at the end. So my first question is for you. Please lower the paper, sorry. I hope you guys can see me. Dr. Muna, the first question is for you. What's going on? Can you tell us about the importance of academia preparing our youth for engagement in the workforce, and how do we really connect between the needs that the workforce, that the industries have, and the skills that are able to be learned, particularly within the confines of the structures we're dealing with under occupation, and how can that translate to employment both in Palestine and elsewhere?
Thank you so much, Jennifer. I'm honored to be with you today and with Aref and Nasser to address such an essential topic about employment in Palestine. I will start answering the question by emphasizing that we as Palestinians, we do value education in general. The number of universities, colleges is increasing year by year, and the participations of males and females in universities is also increasing year by year. And in some universities, the percentage of females is even exceeding the percentage of males. So the problem is not with education. The problem we're having is what these graduates actually face after finishing their education programs, which is the unemployment, what we've actually opened up this session about. And what we need to do as academia, I believe, we need to understand the market needs more, and how we could do that by establishing good partnerships with the private sector itself. And the way I look at it in that structure is that we need the private sector to actually be involved since day one with the curriculum development itself. So we need their input, we need their feedback, we need to understand the market need, not only in the curriculum development, we also need them in terms of implementing the educational programs. We already carried out one program at AlNayzak National University in which our students, they spent half of their time at the university and the other half at the industrial sector. It showed good success, but we still need a lot of work in that sense. And it's a win-win game at the end. Because like the private sector is gonna get the talents and the skills they're looking forward to have. And we as academia, we're gonna get our graduates hired. And this is what we're looking forward to have. This is a way to look at it. Another way I would believe that we need to focus on in terms of building a partnership with the private sector is in which we have the private sector involved with the academia in terms of research and development. So we really need that kind of research center being established at the universities, where we bring the academia who already skilled with research, knowledge, students who are keen to learn, the industrial sector who already have problems. They could be locally or globally. So they could give us the problem to work on. This is again a win-win because we're going to be understanding the market need. We're going to be understanding the problems the market is facing and how we could actually solve that. Another way we could look at it, and I don't want that to get so long, but another way to look at how we could build good partnerships with the private sector is through also entrepreneurship. We've been talking about entrepreneurship for so long now in Palestine and how it could help us in terms of creating jobs for our graduates. However, we're missing one important thing, which is the skills that these graduates need to have, the entrepreneurship skills. We're not working enough at that side. We're not actually having up to now a well-established incubators and accelerators in universities. And that model showed very good success worldwide. Why won't we apply it in Palestine? The private sector could provide us with mentoring, they could provide us with investment, and the academia could also come up with innovative ideas, which could later on get a lot of people hired, and the next generation is going to be finding more jobs. This is the way that I look at the whole connection and interaction between the private sector and academia.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think, definitely one thing that I've seen over the course of a long career in this space is that, there tends to be a following of whatever the popular term is of the day. So at one point it was microfinance, and then it was, MSMEs, and now it's entrepreneurship building and startups. And there's a very real and important conversation around the need to inspire that innovation. But you also need followers behind those founders in order to build a movement, in order to build, an economy or an industry. And so I hope that, and we talked about that as well a bit yesterday. Can you tell us a little bit more about, what you're doing yourself to ensure that linkage? What are some of the actions that you recommend others in academia in Palestine take to create and facilitate those necessary connections? Let's start with that.
Okay, so Jennifer, I came back into Palestine in 2016, and one of the most essential issues that I found out that our graduates face is lack of confidence. And I started working around that part. How could we do have the technical skills, they do have the knowledge, but we don't have the confidence that they need in order to enter also the local market and the global market. So we've been working on a lot of initiatives in which we could bring the private sector to come and have informal conversations with our graduates. So the private sector won't feel that they're stressed out about actually getting these students hired, and the students will get to know more what the industrial sector needs. So we've been having several initiatives in Palestine. I could mention a little bit about them. One of them is called the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineer. It's one of the biggest student societies across Palestine. And what we've been doing during the past 7 years now, Jennifer, we're actually trying to bring the industrial sector to come and give training sessions for these graduates. We're focusing on giving them training sessions in the trending technologies. So last year we had a boot camp for artificial intelligence with an industrial sector itself. So it was carried totally with the industrial sector. Another activity we carried out, it was the first Women in Engineering conference, in which we brought 7 universities to one place so they could actually see their role models, understand more what the industrial sector is looking forward to have that kind of informal conversation. So we do break the ice between these two different sectors. And there's many other initiatives we were working at, such as Girls in Tech initiative, in which we're also, again, looking at the trending technologies that these graduates want to have and providing them with these online courses. Many other initiatives are there, and Aref is one of the people that I'm super proud to have with us today in the panel. He's also been carrying a lot of initiatives in which he connected the industrial sector with the academic sector.
Mona, thank you so much for sharing all of those, not just ideas, but actual initiatives that you are making happen in real time. I think that you could be a model for so many. I think your modeling of collaboration as well, not just within the university segment, but also really having those raw conversations with industry and encouraging them in the ways they can be supportive is really important, especially since, as we will start to discuss in a minute, there are limited job opportunities for a reason. And so on the other end of this, we're trying to solve that challenge of the number of jobs that are available, right? And it can be chicken and egg, but I think each of you is playing a part in this entire ecosystem that is really important. So on that note, speaking of Aref, I'm going to move it over to you. Speaking of industry and the importance of industry readiness to absorb talent, can you tell us a little bit more about what you have seen throughout your career that has worked, what hasn't worked, and why are we where we are today? And are you hopeful that we can move forward in the future?
Thank you, Jennifer. I'm so delighted to be with you, with Dr. Mona, with Nasser, in this very important session, I think, not only because COVID-19 and its implication on the employment, but as well for us as Palestinians to be really believers of technology, entrepreneurship, and innovation as our only way for a free economy and for national economy, which will be based on knowledge, based on innovation, and be able to serve and absorb our new generation in respectful work opportunities. It's, I think, one of the hardest missions that we have all share the responsibility of academic institutions, industry, local economy, non-profit organizations, and private sector. The government, everybody is carrying this responsibility on his own shoulders, but actually we still don't know exactly what to do. And because you invited me to such a great panel, I will be very honest with you. In the last 17 years, I was a witness to the development of the entrepreneurship field in Palestine. And we still have many challenges to face. The first one, I can say, it's the culture. Our current culture for youth is to pursue the best education that they can in local universities. The majority, some of them going abroad, but the majority, they pursue the higher education in our local higher educational system, which mainly until now, with all the developments and the shining points that Dr. Mona mentioned, in some universities, we still based on memorizing content and passing exams in our general educational system in schools, and then it's be repeated in the higher education. We have some success stories here or there, but it's not yet the norm that innovation is, and promoting thinking and thinking outside of the box is part of our higher education system. So our youth is still going to pursue education, and then they are running to the comfort zone, and the comfort zone is to find governmental positions, governmental employment opportunity. And unfortunately, the government is done. It's true that we are the latest nation building a state, but the state is already done with hiring new people. The government is not hiring anymore masses of young graduates. The private sector is suffering. The national economy is under all the restrictions and the political circumstances around, and it's a whole mess that where our youth should go. The only solution is entrepreneurship and creating new businesses and outsourcing to the world, and we will come to this. But still, our culture is based on this, that looking first for a safe, what called safe job with moderate salary, but it's sustainable, it's continuous. If it's in the government, it's perfect. If not, look around. And then, very, very quick and rapid process of building a house on your parents' roof and get married and bring your children, and from there you are repeating the same story. So this is the culture that we are trying to face, and getting people from the comfort zone to the risk, because as much you are investing in risk, as much you are getting results and you are advancing your situation. So still, the culture is one of the barriers. And if you ask me about economy, our economy based and our industry mainly based on family businesses. Even if you are looking at the main 4 or 5 big corporates in Palestine, and it's not more, in our stocks market, we have only 12 or 13 companies, the corporates who are dealing in the stocks market. So it's only, even those, they are based on family approaches. And the majority of our industry, it's family businesses, and then it's SMEs, individuals doing business. So we don't have such a big market, a big industry that can absorb new graduates to be part of their employees community. The other and last side or field that I would love to focus on through the experience, it's the donor-driven grants or projects to invest in as venture capitals, as angel investors, as incubators in the field of incubating talents and taking them to the level that they are creating businesses and developing startups and start to secure a job for themselves and their peers. So all of these circumstances, with the absence of a serious policies, it's true, we have the higher, maybe we are one of the few countries that have a higher council for innovation and excellence, and it's an initiative driven by the president, and he's himself promoting innovation and want to invest in this, but still on the ground the companies' laws, the regulations within the government, the import, export, the outsourcing, the taxation, all of these issues is still in a very, very basic level in terms of new policies, new procedures, and the new laws that support the ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurship to be booming or boosting field to reach where it should be reached as the main engine for creating jobs for youth. And this is the only way for us to secure jobs for the coming generations. So I don't want to be, I know we have a very, very limited time, but this is the situation, and where we have to go, it's for me very, very clear. The first thing that we have to do is to know what we have and to focus on. Our first mistake, from my point of view, I may be wrong, but it's 17 years of experience working in daily basis with youth and the field of entrepreneurship in Palestine. I can tell you that we are targeting high tech. And everyone is looking to have the Palestinian Google or Facebook or big ideas to be globalized. But unfortunately, in terms of capacities and know-how and opportunity to understand these new markets and to be part of global markets, we still back, and we still need lack a lot of resources to be there, and we just ignored and marginalized the low-tech. And I think the first approach for new entrepreneurs is to focus on low technologies and what we can do exactly today to have a success, even if it's in small and medium enterprises, to get the experience and then to try to target bigger goals. You have to have first the low-hanging fruits, and then you can look for the big fish to have in our national economy. Two is for entrepreneurs, it's really good to be a little bit humble, to start from a very, very clear vision, what you want to do, to be employee somewhere to earn this experience, and to target the local markets, and from there to start to look at regional and international markets. A lot of personal capacities should be developed within the entrepreneurs community to be able to cross this road toward real innovation and could compete with other initiatives in the world. The last thing that I want to talk about, it's to learn how to deal with this donors community that coming with their agenda, and they want to some of them with a very good faith, and they want really to invest in the Palestinian community. But there we have to be very, very sensitive and careful, because in the end of the day, you can get a grant to start your business. But if you don't have the capacity to run the new startup and to compete with others and to be able to sustain this immediate success, it will be a very sad story, like what we are witness to, and we are saying big investments made to start new startups in Palestine, but in less than 1 year, the grant is over and the business is done. So we need to create this sustainable approach and to be able to equip our entrepreneurs with the relevant capacities to keep running and to ignore the part of getting the grant only.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Aref. That was a very clear and helpful understanding both of the context of where we are today and how we got here, as well as some ideas of things that we could be doing differently as a community in order to progress forward. And I will say, I agree with so much what you were saying. I think a lot of times, because in part of the plethora, there's the market distortion that's happened with over decades with some of the international funding in Palestine. And part of that is, everyone running towards the same idea. So maybe youth entrepreneurship being one of them. It's not that it's not important, but it shouldn't be mutually exclusive to also trying to engender those very important managerial and technical skills that are actually going to help so many of those young entrepreneurs to succeed and to get past that valley of death, like we like to call it in the investment industry, in order to achieve those early stage funding and to go beyond an initial seed investment from an accelerator, for example. I'm going to just plug this really quickly. I started a leadership sort of event series during COVID when we were all virtual, and my very first interview was with Amuri-Entrepreneurial from Ibtikar Fund and Emil Kubaisi from Silicon Dadya, both of whom are friends and colleagues of mine. And we had a very awesome, honest discussion about some of these topics. So I recommend, I recommend going to my Medium blog, Jennifer Atala, Atala, like the Spanish way, in order to see some of the interview that we had with them. And we talk about what are those investors really looking at for from entrepreneurs, which includes so much the capability, management capability and ability to empathize and understand the local market. And so I think really practicing, that's one way, it's not the only way, but really practicing that is an important part of this entrepreneurial journey. And yeah, I really feel like also you kind of teed up the discussion for Nasser, speaking about, we have on some level what exists partly because of the confines that we are faced with both locally in terms of policies that may or may not support business growth as well as occupation, a certain level of absorption capacity within the local economy. How can we make changes from within what we already have so that we can catalyze growth within our current situation? I think actually, before I move to Nasser, I think he might be having some trouble hearing us. We might be having some technical difficulties. Give me 1 second. While we try to see if we can get Nasser back online, Aref and Dr. Muna, do you have anything to add in this current moment?
I just want to answer one of the questions. Marah, she was asking on the chat that just quick answer. Can fresh graduates be successful entrepreneurs? From my experience, no.
Got it. No, thank you for your honest answer. Well, good. That was perfectly timed because Nasser is back with us. Nasser, can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Nasser, can you hear me? Okay, while we're waiting for Nasser to get back online, there was a question for Dr. Muna as well at the very beginning of our conversation. What would be a solid, innovative program that you envision can be implemented in universities on a national level that can help solve such problems that were discussed?
I wish if I had an easy answer to that, actually. It's a very difficult question. However, what I would say that there's a lot of things that we need to do before we start thinking about having innovative programs. So one of the most important skills that we've been missing for our university graduates is equipping them with the critical thinking skills. And I do believe it's the most important skill before even thinking about being involved in innovative programs. So that the way the educational system is going, and Aref answered that before, we focus on giving the knowledge and then applying the knowledge in a specific context. We don't give our students the opportunity to explore, to research, to analyze, to do that kind of comparisons, evaluations. Our students also need skills in terms of presenting their ideas. So I do believe we have to work on that before. I'm aware that several universities, they've made the critical thinking course one of the compulsory courses now. And however, we still need to do that in a much bigger way. Once we finish this phase, we could start thinking of playing something called the plug and play game between the academic institutions and the private sector. So to make this a good success as a beginning, the way I look at it, this is my answer, and it's related to the way I look at things, is that we could ask the private sector to provide us 2 or 3 main problems that they're actually facing. And then we start doing kind of testing cases with our students in which we could start to come out with innovative ideas to solve such a problem. And we could build up from there, because I 100% agree with Aref, is that fresh graduates can themselves establish companies once they graduate. We still need a lot of work there. This is my answer, Jennifer. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And actually following up on that, who would fund such an initiative? Because so many of the international donor-funded projects have done some of this bridge building. And actually, I see a question from the chat that is exactly on this point as well. So how do we move beyond what has already been facilitated by some of the donor community, which is good. It's good to have had those facilitations, but how do we move beyond that to sustainability?
Okay.
Dr. Muna.
Okay, thank you so much again. And the way I look at it is that, first of all, the universities themselves should start investing in innovation. This is going to give a good idea and good example in terms of actually believing in the idea itself. This should be as a start. We could then relate to having the private sector highly involved with us to help to start solving such small, let's say, startups or small ideas that the students could come out with. This is the way I look at it. As you said, it shouldn't be actually donor oriented, because again, if we want sustainability, we have to do ourselves the practical work and make sure that we succeed in specific phases. Otherwise, as Aref said, we're going to be stuck. Like, we're going to get the grant, we're going to do the program, and then everything stops after that. So we ourselves should start working from that point. The universities could start having some kind of interaction with the private sector itself to come out with the small programs in terms of plug and play. This is how I look at it. And I could see Aref is agreeing, which is also good. Okay.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And just to those of you that are with us online, we are having some technical difficulties. So hopefully we will be able to continue moving forward. Nasser, handing over to you. Can you tell us a little bit more about how to transform the current economy so that we can absorb and create more of these opportunities? Let me make sure he's heard me, and we will move over to him.
Hi.
Great. Can
you hear me? Can you hear me, guys, now? Because I having a trouble. I don't know. I couldn't hear most of the conversations. Just only the part. I couldn't hear the questions. But I'm glad you now can hear me at least. Well, I would like to start talking about my personal experience, my personal story, because I do believe and I do see Palestine as a land of opportunities. And why I say so? I was born and raised in Spain my whole life. I came back here to Palestine when I was about 28, and I started my professional career in Palestine. About that time when I came, I barely speak the Arabic, so I used to say Sayara Bahar, so you can كمل الجملة. So what does that mean? So having all that trouble, and even with foreign languages, another culture, and other visions, Palestine showed me and offered me a path where I can develop myself. That myself back in Spain, I could not have that path or that exposure to outbest myself, to outperform myself, to be better, to be greater, to be taller, to be bigger than what I am, that I was. And all of this because Palestine is a unique platform for youth to grow and to reach their dreams and their milestones by creating something that is unique all over the world, which is building Palestine, building a state. So our small contributions are directly related to a sustainable economy, socially and cultural, of Palestine. Said that, I would like to say that Palestinians offered me that platform. I gave me the opportunity to work as an entrepreneur, as a consultant, as a business owner, and most importantly, it taught me how to hustle my way up. And this is something that I've been nurturing about all my life since I was a kid in Palestine. My dad is from Jerusalem. He taught me that we Palestinians, the Palestinian diaspora, we are being exposed to different culture, to different strategic thinking, to different opportunities that we can come back to Palestine and give that to our community, to create our identity, to establish and recognize and remind who are the Palestinians. By saying so, I got the greatest opportunities to work in many fields, meet very interesting people, work in different sectors, from renewable green technologies to infrastructures, to constructions, to real estate, to recycling, even agricultural projects. So all of that, it showed me that we Palestinian diaspora and Palestinians living in here, that we have great opportunities through all the NGO programs and ourselves to develop our best self. So saying so, I would like also to think to explore with you what are the new initiatives that have been developed in the country. Right now, I'm working for a World Bank funded project with the Ministry of Finance, which is called the Finance for Jobs project, which intends to create jobs, to create sustainable and long-term jobs. So how we do this? Instead of against all the projects back since forever, all the donors' money comes to increase the efficiency of operations of companies as a way to sustain jobs. Now, by building the capacity of companies to operate better, you do create jobs, but it's not exponentially. So the way to exponentially create jobs and a platform that can absorb a large number of fresh graduates or an increase in accumulated workforce is creating more investments. By creating more investments, what you create is a dynamic economic environment that provides sustainability and provides stability, growth. By all these two stuff, it creates us. It's my daughter. Say hi. Okay, so by doing that kind of projects, strategic investment projects, we create an enterprise infrastructure. Now the projects that we are talking about and we are investing on are projects on renewable energy, creating 35 megawatts energy projects. We're creating projects in Gaza to enable greater electricity. All of these create the best infrastructure that provide companies to excel, to operate in a much better way and cheaper, which creates more opportunities for the companies to grow and to absorb this new generation of workforce that is Palestinians.
That's awesome.
Another point that I would like to say is that in order for all of these fresh graduates and entrepreneurs to come out with innovative ideas or to apply the new acquired skills, you need to have this enterprise infrastructure. So all the programs for now are building instead from ourselves. We are trying to build that Catalyst platform.
Awesome, thank you. So I don't think Nasser can hear me, but thank you for that. Nasser, can you hear me? Give me thumbs up. I don't think so. So one of the other aspects of the Finance for Jobs project that Nasser is working on that we're really excited about is that investment, bringing in investment into, okay. So bringing in investment into industry in order to drive down operational costs is one way to increase the liquidity of those companies in order to expand and to bring new job opportunities. No, I'm not talking about
the double SRP, no.
Oh, maybe that's it. So sorry, everyone. And so that's a really important...
myself, I'm a freelancer. I'm a freelancer, and for the past 6 years, I've been working as a freelancer as a way of living. So I do believe that freelancing is provide a good resource for side income. It's not the solution for permanent job or steady future. So freelancing is just a way to hustle your way out. It's very important that all these new skills that are being acquired through entrepreneurial programs, through university programs, to empower, to build the skills of these entrepreneurs in social media, social media and online marketing, SEO, UX, UI, SEM. All these areas of skill are very demanded in the freelance world. So if youth in Gaza, even here in Palestine, we focus on creating that set of skills, social media and all surrounding, it will graphic designers, all this stuff. So it will create a good opportunity for a high hustle jobs and create an alternative income. But freelancing is not the answer for steady jobs. No.
Thank you. Thank you, Nasser.
Ali, can you rephrase your question, please? I don't understand.
Great. So I'm going to continue with, I don't know if Nasser can hear me still. But yeah, thank you for that. I think we have seen some really great initiatives.
Yes, I agree with Aref. It's digital services, technological solutions for agriculture. Yes, Aref, this is the line.
Okay, so we're having some technical difficulties.
Well, there is a couple of months ago, I have the opportunity to be engaged in a discussion about civic engagement, and Rim, this is very important when we are talking about civic engagement, because in order for you to test the initiatives, what you need to create is an ownership in the beneficiary community. So yes. So I do believe that a program should be tested in somehow as a part of the need assessment of the projects when they are designing it. The SSRP, I think you mean the ISPD. I'm not I'm not aware of the SSRP project.
Okay, I'm going to continue moderating the questions from earlier. Great, I'm going to continue moderating questions from earlier in the discussion. So bear with me as I scroll up. So for Dr. Mona, one of the questions from the audience is, I know you are a mentor to many amazing women in the tech space in Palestine. Well, as a woman in this space, what gives you hope?
I think what gives me hope, Jennifer, is seeing the number of women involved in such initiatives increasing. So when I joined the university in 2016, we only had 10 women joining the Women in Engineering program, and now we're having more than 96 women. And seeing that number of women increasing is amazing, because that helps us all out spread awareness about the importance of women participation in the workforce, and that we've been working on. So I think this gives me hope, and it also gives me hope seeing successful women gaining amazing positions in the industrial sector and in the academic sector too. So thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Sorry, trying to manage the technical difficulties simultaneously is a little bit of an adventure. So we talked about freelancers. Another question we had, fresh graduates needed better teaching to be ready for after graduation. Is there any project for teachers to be able to deliver the needed skills? I think professors need to realize this so they can teach students. And on a related note, there was another question as well about applying the same model that you've spoken of into other spaces in academia, such as humanities and social sciences. Social sciences. Dr. Mona and Aref, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, for the question about teachers programs, there are many teachers rehabilitation programs. One of them, AlNayzak, is running called TTEC, Technology Teachers, and it's will be, or this program will be open to everybody very soon. But you know, online courses, no one now in this you know, era of our history going to register in a course and to learn how to teach. You know, it's a responsibility of every teacher to raise his capacities and to try to catch up with the new generation and with technology. And you know, even with COVID-19, every very prestigious universities all over the globe, they open online courses for free for everybody, just to have the initiative, to have the agility to get the new information and the new capacities, and to practice them in the classrooms, even in the schools or in the universities. You know, it's very important for us to have this initiative to learn and teach. But you know, we have a great opportunity, Jennifer, to be one of the leading nations in the coming fourth industrial revolution, because we are a young society, we have a well-educated people, we have more universities than any other nations, and we have, as Palestinians, the diaspora. And the diaspora is the real wealth that we have, that we can connect to and be able to export our knowledge and to outsource for the rest of the world. So there is a question just I want to answer. I tried to write where to focus. I'm telling you, technology in agriculture is very important and needed immediately. Digital services are needed everywhere in Palestine, so we can, you know, build the capacity of our young generation to focus on outsourcing and working with international hubs to earn this experience of how they are dealing with code and how could be in the first row of technology, and to invest today, because this is coming after 5 years. It's not the huge industry now, but it's coming. Machine learning, gamification, artificial intelligence, and all the NLP, the natural language processing. And because we are Arabs, we know Arabic, we know English, we know other languages. It's a great opportunity to develop these engines and to install them and outsource them all over the globe.
That's fantastic. We are out of time. Thank you so much, Aref, for that last final push. I really appreciate it. So we are going to close with the final question that we ask all of our panelists here at the inaugural Social Innovation Summit. Can you please tell us, how do you radically imagine the future of Palestine in one sentence? Aref, I'm going to start with you. Oh, whoever, Mona, go first. I don't think Nasser can hear me, so Mona, then Aref, then Nasser.
No worries. I will imagine it as the land of opportunities, where the country invests in youth and women and make sure that they're highly involved in the decision-making process. This is the Palestine I would love to live in, and this is the Palestine I would love to invest my future in.
Aref, can you hear us? What about you?
I see Palestine as the future hub for technology in the Middle East.
Awesome. All right, Nasser, your turn. We can't hear you. Team, can we unmute to make sure everything's working?
Yeah. Sorry,
Great.
the mic again. So I see a thriving Palestine. I see youth, they can develop their full potentials and they can lead innovations. This is how I see Palestine. And I see the Palestinian just like me, living back in Spain or in America or in any place in the world, come to Palestine to make a life.
Thank you so much. So with that, I want to thank Dr. Mona, Aref, and Nasser for joining us today for this fantastic conversation. We have opened the door for lots of more conversations we want to have with you. And one way to do that is to join our global membership network. I hope you will find us there. You can learn more in the expo here in this summit. You can ask any of us any further questions. And thanks also to Nasser's daughter for coming and joining us, the future entrepreneurs of Palestine right there. So thank you, everyone. We hope you enjoy the rest of the conference and stay in touch with us.